So, Rob Hahn, I want to bring a couple of things up with you, and we're running a little short on time, but I want you to address two things. One, an editorial in the Star Tribune recently said, and I quote, "Nothing in Hahn's background suggests he is prepared to govern the state. He's telegenic, articulate, and a quick study, particularly of talking points that create an impression that he knows state government well. That impression fades upon questioning," unquote. We'll get to that. Hang on. And then basically the IP party themselves rolled you under the bus earlier this week when they came out and said, and I quote, some in the public may be under the false impression that Independence Party condones Rob Hahn's actions or his candidate for governor. We do not, unquote. Pretty strong statements. I spoke later with your party chair, and he seemed to indicate that you were a little less than forthcoming about the incident with your ex-wife. Can you respond to both of those?
Yeah, we went through a screening process, and it was asked on there, is there anything in your past that might embarrass the party? And I did not list the restraining order, but I did say my divorce, the press would ask about my divorce, and that it's all public info. So contrary to what other party members have said, including someone who's working on Tom's campaign who blatantly lied on a message board saying I answered no to that question. I did not answer no. And in fact, prior to the screening, I had already addressed the issue of the restraining order on the steps of the Capitol publicly. The timing is unfortunate, and let me say, I made a mistake. There is no doubt about that. I've been upfront about it. In fact, a TV ad that we're starting to run this weekend will address my mistake, what I learned from it, address leadership and honesty. In fact, I want to bring it up with Tom because in that ad, I call on him again to release his previous client list from Himle Horner because I think it's a very, very important issue in this candidacy.
Rob, I don't have any clients.
I said previous client list.
How far back should I go?
I said 3 years.
Why would that be relevant, Rob?
It's relevant because you have interest with these previous clients. A lot of your policies are related to. Now, if you'll excuse Tom, to quote him, for interrupting me, let me finish. I'm going to pull that ad. Let me back up. I'm going to address your challenge the other day and come clean with my list of contributors. You brought that up to the Republican Eagle in Red Wing, that you suspect that the Republicans are trying to torpedo your candidacy. Again, showing that you don't, recognize that I've run a full-fledged campaign on a very, very small budget and a successful campaign at that.
$4,200, according to your...
But at 10:30 today, I'm holding a news conference in the state office building, and I'll address, among other things, recent contributors. And I will say to you, Tom, that if you want to join me and release your client list, I will pull that ad and pull it off the internet.
Rob, I have released my client list.
I
have no clients.
That is such a crock of crap, Tom.
Why,
I'm asking
Rob?
for previous...
How far back should I go? Why 3 years? Why not 30 years, Rob?
If you want to do 30 years, I'll gladly accept it. I wanted to make it. You can't dance around this issue that you have conflicts.
I'm not dancing around the issue, Rob.
What do you have to hide? Why don't you want to bring up your past clients?
Rob, calm down on the anger.
No,
this is another one of those temperament issues, Rob, where you've got to stay in control. This is about leadership.
It is about leadership, and with that is being forthcoming and being honest, and you've done neither on your client list. I was asked 2 months ago, to release my client list. I did. No question about it. Here's my client list for
Rob, I think this is why the Star Tribune says you're not suited to be governor. I think it is an issue of leadership. I think it's an issue of statesmanship, of knowledge, and I think it is an issue of temperament. Now, when people have asked me about where I have client issues related to public policies, I've been very forthcoming. So people have said, Tom, did you work for the Vikings? Yes. Tom, have you worked in healthcare? Yes. Rob, you know those clients.
But I don't know all of them.
You do, Rob. You do. When people have said, Tom, your business may pose a conflict, I said, well, then I'll go beyond what we ask of public officials, what we ask of elected officials. You're not asking Tom Emmer, an attorney, to release his client list. You don't have any issues to run against me, so you're trying to launch personal attacks.
No, that's not true at all. That's not true at all.
Rob, let me just finish. So, Rob, you're trying to launch personal attacks.
That's a professional attack, Tom. It's not a personal attack.
All right, hang on 1 second.
I think are an insult to the voters and an insult to my family and to my integrity.
It's not an insult to your family. What's an insult is you haven't been forthcoming with the voters.
We're running against the clock.
Yeah, and you're listening to a spirited debate here and discussion on the KFAI Weekly News with Tom Horner and Rob Hahn. It's approaching 10 minutes now before 10.
And before we get to that, to be fair, we, put this on Hahn, Tom. So I want you to answer this. I mean, pundits and opponents alike have said that you're not an independent at all, that you're really a Republican who just couldn't cut it in the party. In particular, what makes those claims false? And if they are, highlight what makes you an independent.
Well, I think what makes me an independent is an approach that the Republicans right now are defined by we're going to do everything to resolve the budget deficit by cutting spending. I disagree with that. The Democrats say we're going to do everything to resolve the budget deficit by raising taxes. I disagree with that. I think we need a balanced approach. I think we need to have an honest discussion about the budget, transparency about the budget, some spending cuts, tax reform, but I think we also need to make investments in the future, and I'm the only candidate who has outlined specific plans to talk about investments in career, jobs, how to grow the economy, how to create good jobs. So that's the opportunity. You know, I started my political career in politics with Dave Durenberger, a moderate Republican. One of the things I always admired about Durenberger is his ability to reach across the aisle to a Democrat. Where's one step we can take together to start the journey? I believe, like a lot of Minnesotans, I've always espoused the same philosophies, the same issues, the same thoughtfulness about Minnesota's future. It is the Republican Party that has changed, not me.
Well, before we wrap up here, for listeners who aren't in the studio, there's no love lost between you guys.
Oh, no, that's not.
You, Tom, you've accused Mr. Hahn here of being in cahoots with the Republicans and trying to torpedo your campaign.
Which I'll address at 10:30 today.
No small allegation.
No, Marty, what I've said is I am concerned about Republicans crossing over and trying to create mischief. This has been in the primary. This has been a focus on Republicans, and there is a lot of evidence that the Republicans, not Rob, Republicans have talked about it. Look, I think Rob is a fine young man. I think that he offers a lot of interesting ideas and thoughts. I disagree with many of them. I do resent the attacks on my personal integrity. I've stepped up far beyond what we ask of elected officials and have completely divested myself of business interests. I think that's what Minnesotans expect in a leader. But I think they also expect a leader to talk about issues, to talk about the future, to talk about the kind of state we want, not attacks on other candidates. People are tired of that.
Rob Hahn.
Getting back to your original question a few back about what qualifies me. I'm a small businessman. I know how to balance a budget. I know how to lead. I know how to be innovative. They're free. The Star Tribune's free to have their opinion and take a shot at me. I don't mind. I have thick skin. But the reality is I have set forth a number of different specific proposals, much more specific to my opponent. They're at Hahn2010.com.
Thank you, Rob. We've got to wrap it up.
Yeah, we've got to wrap it up now. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us this morning on this special edition of the KFAI Weekly News. Rob Hahn and Tom Horner, Independence Party candidates for governor. It's been a spirited discussion here, especially near the end. Thank you both for your time and wishing you both good luck in your primary.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.